Ladies and gentlemen, Mark Thompson here with STNL.com, bringing to you our latest listing, a Take 5 oil change located in the Central Florida market of Ocala, Florida. Listen, a lot of cool things happening in the town of Ocala, Florida. A lot of cool things happening in the immediate area surrounding this Take 5 oil change. But I love deals where everybody wins. Listen, the seller's gonna win here, the buyer certainly wins, and the tenant wins. Listed at $820,000, there's two real ways to look at this offering. First of all, it's one parcel with two different buildings on it with two different leases. We get a Take 5 two-bay corporately backed oil change, and then we have a car wash formerly run and managed by Take 5. Now, that car wash is since no longer in use. It's been out of use for quite some time, but Take 5 is still paying rent on that car wash for the next 2 years. So a couple different ways to look at this deal, but here's how we look at it here. You basically are gonna buy a Take 5 oil change with 7 years of term on it at a 6.6 cap. In order to entice you to do that, we're going to give you a 10.25 cap yield for the next 2 years. And in 2 years, the tenant gets a $30,000 rent reduction, pretty much ensuring the fact that they are indeed going to renew, because after all, getting a $30,000 rent reduction is not a bad thing to give your tenant. So that's one way to look at it. The other way to look at it is this way. We're gonna give you a 10.25 cap return. For 2 years, you're going to enjoy the rent of $42,000 from the Take 5 oil change, the $42,000 backed by Take 5 from the car wash. And you got 2.5 years to basically figure that out and see what you wanna do. And at the end of that 2.5 years, Take 5 gets a $30,000 rent reduction. They're going to shed the car wash rent. They're going to get an increase in the two-bay oil change space. And you're gonna enjoy a 6.6 cap return for the next 5 years with 2 5-year options thereafter. So check out the video. A lot of cool things to talk about this deal. If you have questions, Eric Pars, his name, number, and obviously email address is at the end of the video. You can give him a call. Really nice deal. Look forward to doing a deal with you in the future, especially this one right here. Thanks so much. Before we dive into numbers on our Take 5 and our former car wash, I want to make sure that we introduce Ocala to so many of our viewers who are not familiar with this market. So let me tell you why Ocala makes a ton of sense for a long-term investment for an asset like this. First and foremost, you're an hour and a half from Tampa, you're an hour from Orlando, you're about an hour and 35 minutes from Jacksonville. You are the most centrally located city amongst the 3 major cities in the northern quadrant of the state of Florida, which, by the way, is growing like gangbusters right now across the state, and no exception for the Ocala market. So what does that mean? Well, that of course is not lost on major companies out there, starting with Amazon. Amazon spent $48 million on a warehouse in Ocala. Dollar Tree, not to be outdone by Amazon, spent $211 million on a warehouse in Ocala. McLean, which services restaurants and food and beverage, spent $50 million in a warehouse. And then Cardinal Glass spent $40 million. So that is altogether $349 million of investment made in the Ocala market in the last 3 years. And by the way, that's not to mention the World Equestrian Center. Ocala is the horse riding capital of the world, the equestrian capital, certainly of the United States. A really remarkable market when you really start to know this. So let's dive into the immediate neighborhood, and then we'll jump into the numbers on this particular Take 5. Before we dive into the numbers here, I want to introduce you to the Oscar-level supporting cast that surrounds and insulates your Take 5 in the immediate area. So let's look at the drone shot here of the corner of Silver Springs and 36th Avenue. And the first supporting actor you're going to see is obviously Publix. Now, the important thing to know about this Publix, other than the fact that that parking lot right there is absolutely slammed, is this is a Publix-owned shopping center. So Publix believed in this corner enough to actually acquire this particular shopping center. There's 1,200 Publixes throughout the Southeast United States. Publix owns approximately 450 of those units. This is one of those units. That Publix is going nowhere anytime soon. Now, let's go back to the drone shot here. You're looking at a Wawa right there. That particular Wawa was built in 2019, directly across the street from our Take 5 and former car wash. That's about a $6 million Wawa right there on the corner of Silver Springs and 36th Avenue. So again, built in 2019, that is a beautiful addition to the corridor. That's the newest addition. Let's talk about the oldest addition. That is the Trinity Villas Apartments, directly behind the Take 5 there on the corner of Northeast 36th and Northeast 8th Place Road. So you've got basically an additional ingress-egress point, and in that additional ingress-egress, you have 162 units. It is Trinity Villa apartment that was built in 1975. Now, to your immediate left or east of the Take 5 is a church. So you have One Life Fellowship Church, which really packs the parking lots on Sunday, which, if you know anything about the Take 5 business and the oil change business, the slowest day of the week is indeed Sunday. So you've got additional insulation there for the Take 5 as that church floods that particular parking lot. So that's the immediate area that insulates your Take 5, a really nice supporting cast there to support you as you endeavor to make this property better. Let's dive into the numbers here and why this deal is going to be a home run for somebody. Not for everybody, but someone out there is really going to take this deal on and hit a huge crushing home run. Let's dive in. All right, for the numbers, we're pricing this asset at $820,000. That is a 10.25 cap on actual numbers. It's two different buildings with two different leases, but both of which are Take 5 corporate. So you have the Take 5 store, which is approximately 841 square feet. That is a $42,000 rent payment per year. Lease expires in May of 2023. The building, 2,500 square feet, is again another $42,000. That deal expires again in May of 2023. So between the two, 42 and 42, not that great at math, that's $84,000 a year paid for you by Take 5 corporate, and we most likely think that Take 5 is probably not going to renew the vacant car wash. That being said, there is rental increases on the Take 5. You have 3 5-year options with massive increases. You have a $1,000 a month rent increase in the Take 5 in May of 2023. So that rent goes from $42,000 a year to $54,000 a year. Now, let's say you bought this and all you did was keep the Take 5 and get rid of the building, demo the building. In May of 2023, you would have a 6.6 cap on actual numbers with a brand new 5-year Take 5 lease. Now, bear in mind, this is not just any Take 5. This Take 5 does extremely well in the particular corridor. We've spoken to the folks on the ground. We're showing you some Google reviews here. There's over 200 Google reviews. The average review is 4.6 stars. Dalton and Kyle have been at this particular Take 5 for a long time. So this is a stalwart in the community. So all that being said, in theory, you could take the other building and demolish it, and you would have a 6.6 cap on actual numbers. Now, let's talk about the other building. The other building, the roof needs to be repaired at $5 a foot. We estimate that building repair to be around $12,500. The roof is in not good shape. Second thing is a car wash. If you want to redo the car wash, I'm walking through the car wash here right now, needs a lot of work. So bear that in mind as you're assessing this particular asset. If you work with car washes and you want to repurpose it to a brand new car wash, price that out accordingly. You're talking about another $100,000 right there to get that car wash functional, I would think. I'm not a car wash expert, but that's what we're estimating here. You could also take that and box it in and totally redevelop that particular piece and have a different type of usage there for that particular building. So a lot of different options here, but at the end of the day, it is a 10.25 cap on actual numbers. Basically, lease expires in May of 2023 with 3 5-year options remaining on the Take 5 portion of $42,000, which bumps to $54,000, which makes it a 6.6 cap on actual numbers. And if you can repurpose, well, you got basically 2.25 years to figure out how to repurpose that building. So a lot to think about with this particular asset. It will be a home run for someone out there that solves for this. Bear in mind this, if this particular corner is good enough for Publix, if Ocala is good enough for Amazon, this particular Take 5 is probably good enough for you. There's enough meat on the bone here to make a lot of sense for a buyer. Reach out to us. Eric Parsh is running point on this deal. His number is to my left, your right. Check out his email right there. Shoot him a call, send him an email. He'd love to talk to you about this one. Let's explore the possibilities. This deal is probably not going to last long. We've worked with the seller once before, had a very easy time. This is a repeat client for us. We want to find an easy buyer for him on this one. And I think at this price point, I believe we can. Reach out to us. We'll talk to you soon. Thanks so much.